let's get things rolling with Peace Like a River. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. Down in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. In my soul. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain in my soul. Down in my soul. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain down in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. Down in my soul. I got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. Down in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. Down in my soul. I got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river in my soul. That's where it is.
Way down there. Welcome to Unity Center of Walnut Creek. Please rise and join us in singing Won't Let Nobody Turn Me Down. Turn me round, or either way.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody Check the pilot light.
Okay. Good morning. Yes. As I was saying, it is a privilege to stand up here and to see the light of God radiating from each of you. So thank you for letting me be here and to serve you. Thank you, John, for that beautiful opening. We really appreciate it. And of course, the boys in the corner, David and Dan and Max, thank you very much. They really set our intention really, really well, don't they? Hello to our friends online. Hello to our brothers and sisters online. Thank you so much for being with us. Please know that you're an important part of our spiritual community, and we wouldn't be who we are without you. So thank you for being here, and enjoy the service. And if anyone have a cell phone here? Well, if you do, if you can make sure that it's off or on mute, we would appreciate that very much. Thank you. As we say every week and as we live every day, we know that unity is a positive path for spiritual living. And here at Unity of Walnut Creek, we have a mission. In loving community, we empower spiritual growth by modeling and teaching universal spiritual principles. And the really cool thing about that is all we have to do is be ourselves. When we are ourselves, we carry this. We carry this out to the world. And thank you for doing that, by the way. Thank you for your service. And so now let's do our statement of faith, or our affirmation, as we like to say. So if you would please just settle into your seats. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep breath. And as we release that breath, we're going to say thank you. And then we're going to move into our statement. Okay? So just take a deep breath. Release and say thank you. And then our statement. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Yeah, let's say that once more. Let it soak in. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. And just soak that in and know it to be true. And so it is. If you are with us for the first time and are comfortable in doing so, we invite you to raise your hand now so we may bring you a welcome packet. There is also a connection card in your packet. Please take it to our bookstore for an additional welcome gift of a wooden necklace handmade by one of our congregants. Cool.
Welcome. Good morning.
Welcome. Thanks for being here. There is also a connection card in your packet. Please take it to our bookstore for an additional welcome gift of a wooden necklace handmade by one of our congregants. It's really good to see you guys. I know them. It's really good to see you guys. If you would rather, you may pick up a packet at the welcome table, but you already got it, so never mind. Okay. Speaking of connection cards, there are connection cards that are available for everyone in the seat pockets in front of you. With this card, you may submit a prayer request, and our prayer chaplains will be praying with you throughout the week. You may also share feedback with us on one of these cards. If you request information, our staff will respond to you during office hours during the week. The ushers will receive your card with our offerings. All right. So you know what time it is? It's huggy, huggy time.
Huggy, huggy time.
If you want to get hugged. So be careful. So please, until you hear the gong, meet your group. Oh, good boy.
After you.
Hello. My name is Ciel. Would you like to have more ease, balance, and clarity in your life? Sure. Oh, yeah. Join us on November 4th for our Follow Your Heart workshop. Together, we will explore heart math practices that will help us to increase our heart focus, make it easier to lead heart-centered lives with more ease, balance, and clarity. November 5th is our annual membership meeting. Join us in the community room for a light lunch. And during the meeting, we'll vote on proposed bylaw changes and elect 5 new board members. We will also review finances, answer your questions, and discuss plans for the coming year. Please note that our service times will change starting on November 19th. We will have a contemplative service at 9 o'clock and a celebratory service at 11:30. Now, I'd like to welcome Dawn and Danae.
Please. We're inviting you to support our Big Fall fundraiser. Unity returns to the Summer of Love. I hope I didn't give it away. It's going to be very groovy.
It will be this coming Saturday, 6 p.m. Center Concord. That's on Clayton Road near Ignacio Valley Boulevard, close to the Kmart and next to the bowling alley.
Our men's group will cook a delicious buffet dinner, including vegetarian and gluten-free dishes.
As you mingle and get mellow, also check out the raffle baskets, the silent auction, play date opportunities, nifty things. Definitely worth your moolah.
Ooh la la.
Oh.
Plus, there's a dessert auction and live auction.
And the super raffle drawing with 2 great prizes. All the gift cards in our Lucy in the Sky jar, or a limo drive to dinner and the theater in Walnut Creek. You do not have to be present at the drawing to win.
Buy your super raffle tickets today and event tickets too, plus playdates, t-shirts, buttons, and more.
And I will be out there actually. And today is your last chance to donate silent auction items.
But you can still buy tickets and playdates online this week. See your bulletin for more details.
Then come Saturday to hang out with friends and meet new ones and
boogie down,
baby, go. Boogie down. Whoa.
So I'm dressed in summer and tie-dye for a reason. So that you can be continuously reminded of the Summer of Love this morning and get prepared for this great fall fundraiser that's coming up. I also want to tell you today about a workshop that's happening today at 1:30. We have a program called Diffusing Hatred from 1:30 to 3 with Wilma Garvey. He's the the executive director of the Interfaith Council of Contra Costa County. Really great group that I'm getting to know and really think a lot of what the work that Will does. And this is an opportunity for us to learn on our feet ways of if we encounter hatred somewhere or something out in the community that we know how to deal with it. So I don't know about you, but I want that skill. So I hope you'll come at 1:30 today to learn how to do that. Thanks.
Thank you, you fun people. And now please take a look at your bulletins for details on these and other activities. And now another musical selection.
Little tune from Garth Brooks. You know this life is like a river, ever changing as it flows, and our dreams are just a vessel that must follow where it goes, trying to learn from what's behind you, never knowing what's in store, makes each day a constant challenge, stay between the shores. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Too many times we stand aside, let the water slip away, till what we put off till tomorrow has now become today. So don't you sit upon the shoreline and say you're satisfied. Choose to chance the rapids, there to dance a tide. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. There's bound to be rough waters, and I know I'll take some falls. With the good Lord for my guidance, I will make it through it all. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, till the river runs dry.
Well, I want to thank John and David and the band, not only for their music, but also because they stepped in kind of last minute this week to cover for our music director. So thank you. CL is one of our prayer chaplains today, and she's going to begin our meditation time with this reading.
Shadow to light. I cast light upon shadows and reveal truth. Shadows are unreality, born out of ignorance of our own divinity and false conceptions. They are created out of our ego's defense mechanisms. Personal and collective shadows exist, but only until we acquire an understanding of our true heritage and thereby cast the light of divine truth upon them. When I flood the shadows of fear within and around me, I am faced with my own false ways of seeing and believing I didn't even know were there. As I keep shining the light, the shadows dissolve in the light of God's love, and the divine I am emerges. Only the good remains. Overcome evil with good, Romans 12:21.
All is well now.
Taking this knowing that all is well. Deep into our hearts. Where the light of God is illuminating every aspect of the heart space. I invite you to look within in that illuminated space. See what's present in your own heart right now. Shine that light of the divine deep into the recesses of your being. Inviting everything to come forth. The peaceful feelings, the fears, the joys and the concerns. Coming out together in this place of illumination. Sitting together peacefully in the light. Now circled around are our judgments and criticisms and kindness and compassion. Our ease with forgiveness, sitting right beside our resentments. Even those aspects of us that feel unsafe or anxious have come out into the light. resolve in the light of forgiveness. Those judgments and compassion have been in communication, and the compassion is what rises to the surface now. The judgments falling away. We move ahead in the light, leaving no one behind. Giving thanks for the wholeness of our being and the diversity of our outer world. And so it is.
All is well now. All is well. All is well now. All is well. All is well deep within me. I see smiling faces now in every corner of the world. A joyous understanding showering down upon us all. From this day on, our errors just aren't needed anymore. Poverty and war and hate are things that were before. And trumpets sound and people sing, embrace each other as they bring the news that all our difference gone. We found the truth, we're one. Every drop of rain that falls, rain peace. With every newborn baby's call, cry peace. Every heart beat out with care. Let every voice vibrate the air. With every thought, one solemn prayer for peace. Let every heart beat out with care. Let every voice vibrate the air. With every thought, one solemn prayer for peace. So good to know it's over now. We've given up the fight. Know that this serenity is all that's truly right. Now all our efforts spent to aid the ones the most in need. water for the thirsty made, the hungry we all feed. And trumpets sound and people sing, embrace each other as they bring the news that all our difference gone. We found the truth, we're one. Every drop of rain that falls, rain peace. With every newborn baby's call, cry peace. Let every heart beat out with care. Let every voice vibrate the air. With every thought, one solemn prayer for peace. Let every heart beat out with care. Let every voice vibrate the air. With every thought, one solemn prayer for peace.
There's an old story you might know about a guy who's looking for a set of keys on a street corner. And people keep passing by and they see that he's looking for something. They ask if they can help, and he says sure. And so pretty soon there's about 10 people looking for his keys. And nobody's finding them. And finally somebody says, well, where exactly did you lose them? And he said, well, about 2 blocks over. And they said, well, why in the world are we looking here? And he said, because the light's better. And you know, that's in a way what we do, isn't it? We like to sidestep reality and hang out where it's light and bright sometimes, when actually we are being called to that place where we lost the keys, a little darker spot. And we can't find the keys unless we go to the darker spot to get them. That's really what this week's series, this week in our series is all about. Addressing shadows and saboteurs. So for those of you joining us, we're in our 4th week now of a fall series called Awakening to Sacred Action. And we're using the book The Hope by Andrew Harvey. And it's awakening the sacred activist in us as a mystic. And for the activist, it's awakening the more mystical side of them. It's the marriage between the two. That's what the work is all about. So this week is looking, as I said, at the saboteurs and the shadows. And the way that we can find the keys, so to speak, is by looking, right? Is by noticing, naming even what we're looking for, and then bringing the light to that, and then transforming it into even greater light. That's really kind of the process. Andrew Harvey names 5 inner saboteurs. They all start with D. It makes it a little bit easier to remember them. And he's basically putting this in the context of our times and through the voice of the urgent, passionate one who's saying, look, pay attention. There are things going on in our world that we have to wake up to. And so through that lens, he's saying that the first of the saboteurs, the things that will sabotage our progress, our movement into the kind of world that we want to create and the kind of things that we want to let go. He says that the first one is disbelief. And so if we are in a state of saying, well, I just can't really believe it's true. I don't really think it's really happening. You know, it's sort of disbelief and denial kind of work together, right? Denial is the second one. And so he says denying that there is a danger right now on our planet with particularly climate change, but other things. Denying that, he says, is the most dangerous one of all, to be in a state of denial. And so then he goes on to say, once we sort of move through the disbelief and the denial, we might have feelings of dread. And I know some people even express that as they begin to pick up the book, and we jumped right into the chapter on death and rebirth. And people said, oh, wow, feelings of dread as I'm reading this and digesting these ideas and already knowing a lot of what was going on in the world, but really taking it in. And then feelings even of disillusionment. Disillusioned with what we thought we were all about, disillusioned maybe with our spiritual path even, and what that has brought for us or not brought for us, the way that we may be assessing that. Disillusionment with not only our personal lives, but what's going on in the world, disillusionment with the ways that we have been living, the structures under which, we have lived, the things that we have built, and the American dream, disillusionment with the American dream. That's really, really present in the Bay Area, isn't it? The old American dream with the white picket fence and you own your own home? That's no longer really a dream for a lot of us that's accessible, certainly not in this area. And so it's now a time to refashion the dream. What is the American dream now? We can't keep living under the old structures that are no longer really in place. And so there might be a sense of disillusionment with that. But so as we work through these and then we meet and greet each of these, we work with the saboteurs the same way we do with the shadows, is just by taking a look and really noticing and bringing into the light and naming and then moving on. We don't stay there, but we do need to look. Otherwise we're hanging out on the corner of joy and the key isn't there. Because to really have the joy, we have to also address the pain. Otherwise, it's just sort of this flat experience, right? It's two sides of the same coin. And the fifth saboteur he talks about is really when we move into kind of a paralysis, a numbness, even he calls it the desire to cease to be, even when we don't want to be here anymore. And so to just take a look at those things, embrace them, notice them, see them in ourselves, see them in our society, and then bring the light to that. And how do we then dispel that and work together to create something different? So that's really a part of the journey. And the shadows, it helps to name them. So I'm just going to name them, really. So the shadow work, some personal shadow work that we do here at Unity of Walnut Creek regularly is the Q process. Denise, Reverend Denise, your interim minister that was here the 6 months before me, brought this Q process that she was trained in. And it was created by Gary and Jane Simmons, who are Unity ministers, and Rima Benario as well, worked with them, who's a Unity person. And they came out with this Q process with a workbook and a one-day training and some coaching sessions afterwards. And it's really good work. If you haven't done it, Denise comes back every few, 2 or 3 times a year now to offer this in a one-day workshop. And I use the workbook sometimes just if I notice my buttons are getting pushed, or maybe there's a pattern, something's arising that I'm noticing about myself, I'll go back to my workbook and do a worksheet. And it always helps me illuminate the shadow. So some of the shadows, the way that they categorize the shadows are, basically there's a lot that falls under unworthiness. And then there's a lot that falls under lack, and a lot that falls under safety. And so underneath those categories are these core beliefs that are operating the show from the subconscious. So for example, an unworthiness, we might have a belief that says, I don't belong, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not lovable. So we might be holding that, not even knowing it. This is the thing about the shadow, right? That shadow is about how we're addressing this is addressing our ignorance. It's in the shadows because we don't know it's there. And so it is bringing it then up into the light that is the process of understanding what it is that's operating, what's running our show, what is that soundtrack that's sort of the broken record behind how we are showing up in the world. So we touch on those and then we begin to see the patterns that can help us heal. So of course, if it's in the category of safety, we may just feel like I'm not safe, or I feel anxious, and those feelings of uncertainty, anxiety, and safety can then point us to some healing. Or lack, a really common one. There's not enough, right? Not enough time, there's not enough money, or maybe I'm not enough, or I don't have enough skills, or I'm not good looking enough, or whatever it is that we, these things that we put together, these false beliefs about ourselves. How the shadow gets created is really the work of Charles Fillmore illuminates this, the 3 phases of mind, and the interplay between the 3 phases of mind. Charles Fillmore is a co-founder of Unity, along with his wife Myrtle, if you're new. And the 3 phases of mind are superconsciousness, which is the divine mind, the divine intelligence, the truth, the absolute truth, and conscious mind, which is what we're all most familiar with. The conscious mind tells you, I'm sitting in a chair, I'm in the sanctuary, I'm at Unity of Walnut Creek, it's 10:15. This is the conscious. I'm hungry, I'm daydreaming, oh, now I'm back, the conscious mind becomes aware of what's going on and can speak to that or experience that. And then the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is where the shadow beliefs would live. So it's not known yet, right? It's like subterranean. It's not seen yet. And so he says the way that the 3 minds are meant to work together is that subconscious mind is meant to be a plate upon which the impressions of the superconscious mind are made. So the idea that I am safe, that I am important, that I am valued, that I am worthy, all these ideals which we know are the truth about who we are as divine beings are meant to be impressed upon the subconscious mind, and then they come up to rise into the conscious mind, and that's who we know ourselves to be. And that's how we relate in the world. But he says we got confused. And we forgot that we were divine, didn't even know to look to the superconscious mind, and we started impressing the subconscious with our conscious mind, which means it got impressions of both good and evil, of things that are true about ourselves and things that are false about ourselves. And so moving ahead, we can do this work of lessening our shadows by now knowing how it works and looking at the superconscious mind, looking to the superconscious mind to impress upon our subconscious. Does that make sense? So that's what's at work in creating the shadow. Of course, we can have some kind of hurt or some kind of thing that happens when we're children that we internalize, and it gets impressed in that subconscious as truth. And that's usually what we're operating off, these ideas of the shadow. So the way to heal it is to bring it into the light, is to look at it, is to name it. So those are some examples of personal shadows, and the way that personal shadow can work is that there might be maybe your buttons get pushed, you seem disproportionately angry about something that somebody said, and you can look at that and say, wow, why am I feeling that angry about what they said? And so then you can go in and you can take a look at that and see what shadow belief is being uncovered there. Or you might notice that you're projecting a lot. You're saying to yourself about your coworker, well, doesn't he think he's special? Or you're saying that about your partner, and you find yourself having that little dialogue. Well, it comes into the conscious mind, you notice it, right? And so you notice that pattern, or you notice feeling like, I'm not getting recognized, or I don't feel appreciated, and that kind of dialogue can be happening. What is the soundtrack, basically? What's that broken record? That's what we're listening for. And so that we can then bring that up and see it for what it is. And then impress from the superconscious mind the truth. The truth is that I am safe. The truth is that I am valuable, that I am important. And to live on from there. So that's the personal shadow work. Then there's the collective shadow. The person I look to for collective shadow work right now is Sharif Abdullah. He presented at the Unity Conference and at the conference I just went to in Sacramento, the Shift Network Conference. And he's rolling out a program called Shadow to Light. And some of the Unity churches are piloting the program. And it is about identifying the 4 collective shadows of America, and then the light, the corresponding light, and moving us from shadow to light, healing America's collective shadow. And he identifies America's collective shadow as violence, otherness, lack, and despair. And so when we move violence into the light, it becomes peace and security. When we move otherness, that is manifested through racism and sexism and so on, into the light, it becomes inclusive community. When we move lack into the light of abundance and enoughness, that's what we get, is abundance and enoughness away from not enoughness, right? And when we move despair, hopelessness, suicide, depression into the light, we get a sense of deep fulfillment, a sense of divine purpose, why we're here. So that's the work of the shadows, but our work really is just to cast the light and cast away the ignorance, to make it known to us what's going on. Yesterday I went to the Bioneers conference in Marin. I just love that we have so much accessible to us here. I'm really enjoying the Bay Area. And I went to the Indigenous Forum there, and four Native elders and there was a person who was sort of managing the panel, emceeing the panel, if you will. And the four elders, the Native American elders, were there to tell the story of what really happened in California. And so, you know, we were all there, the room was packed, and we were all there as witnesses to the genocide, to the erasure in the history books of not only all that really happened, but also 10,000 years of rich culture. We were there to witness the dishonoring of the women and the tribes that have no federal recognition and therefore no services and not even a legality of practicing their religion and their ceremonies. And just as witnesses, that's the first step. You know, that's all we need to do, is to bring it out into the light, to recognize it, to name it, to say, wow. You know, to be in that compassionate space of listening together. That alone is healing. And good things are happening out of that. Then the activism springs into action, and the history books are being rewritten. The history books are being rewritten so that people, the children in California, will begin to learn about the rich culture and also learn about the travesty of the history. And understand, come to understand. Yeah. So this is part of what's going on. You know, one of the ways that the shadow becomes known to us, or the subconscious mind communicates with us, is through our dreams. And so paying attention to our dreams is a great way to do this work, to address the shadows, to bring them out for healing. Last Sunday night, I had a dream. And the dream, you know, sometimes our dreams are, most of mine are more personally reflective, but sometimes they have a more collective feel to them. And this one had a little bit of both in it. And the dream, I apologize, it starts out a little bit gross. I was vomiting. And then I got up and I was fine and I was moving around and somebody else was vomiting. And then somebody else was vomiting. And this kind of went on for maybe 5 different people. But then I realized that we weren't sick. We were all okay. We were just purging. And in the next scene of the dream, I remembered that I had asked this male minister friend of mine to come and give a presentation on healing the earth. And I realized he was the wrong person for the job. And then I was like, why didn't I ask his wife, who's brown-skinned and indigenous and feminine, to come give this talk on healing the earth? So then I did ask her. And then I went to his church, and I needed to unhook this huge tapestry. And it was like a gymnasium. The ceiling was so high, and the tapestry was like a woven rug, and it was orange. And it went from the floor diagonal up to about where the ceiling and the wall come together, and it was hooked there. And so I climbed up on the tapestry to unhook it, and I was the only one in there. And then I realized, when I unhook this, guess who's going down with the tapestry? So I stood there for a while and thought about, this isn't very smart, nobody's here, it's not very safe, but I decided to do it anyway. And so I braced myself against the wall, and I unhooked it, And it was sturdy enough that I could kind of, catapult myself down, and it was kind of like a giant slide. And I came down to the ground just fine, and so did the tapestry. So what did I make of this dream? First, I told you about the purging, right? So many of us were just purging, just letting it go, letting the stuff go, the dread, the disillusionment, the denial, all that stuff that we talked about earlier, even the desire to cease to be, just letting it all go. And then unhooking the old way of being, unhooking the old power structures, unhooking the hierarchical, patriarchal ways that no longer serve us. And that unhooking was scary. And I had to support myself somehow and question my sanity in the process, right? And find a way that it could be safe to come down to the ground and to unhook that old way of being. And why was the tapestry orange? My friend, Dr. Carrie Vaughn, would say if hospitals were painted orange, everybody would heal a whole lot faster. Orange is a color of the second chakra, the place of the womb. It's a healing color. And so the dream for me was a dream of recognizing the shifts that are going on in our world, and that I have a role, and that we all do have a role in this process. So our dreams can be really rich as we begin to consciously say, I'm going to start doing shadow work. So I just want to encourage you to really pay attention to your dreams. Maybe have a little notebook beside your bed, and if you really want to get serious about it, set an alarm for like about 3 a.m. and then journal whatever's happening in your dream. And then later you can reflect upon maybe what some of the meanings are for you. So what's underneath the ignorance then in the shadow work? Because we've brought it into light, it's no longer ignorant, right? We see it now. We see whatever it is that we were believing or thinking that was running the show no longer can run the show because it's in the light now. But also what drives that is fear, right? Our fears drive these belief systems. And then we think, well, if I think I'm not safe, then I'll do all the things that make me safe, and so there's a contraction kind of behavior that I'll create my world a little bit smaller so I feel safer. And so there's all these behaviors that will happen that are part of that, the fear that's connected to it. Have you ever heard what FEAR stands for, the acronym for fear? False evidence appearing real. Yeah, false evidence appearing real. Anodea Judith says that scared is the sacred scrambled. And that's really what's happened, right? There's been just a little scrambling of the sacred. We just got a little confused in the process. And so it's bringing that back, the divinity that we are, that we all are, the divinity that our earth is, the honoring that comes with that. That's all a part of it, and part of it is to also literally bring lightness, literally bring some humor, Name these little aspects of yourselves. Oh, here comes Carrie Critic, or Jimmy the Judge, or, Messy Mary, or whatever it is, that is that piece of you that you've been, pushing away or leaving in the shadows, and give it a little bit of lightness and humor. In your relationships, that can do great things. If you start naming your shadows and noticing it when you're projecting on your partner or your child or your parents or whoever it is that you are close to in day-to-day life, it can be a fun thing that you begin to work with. And you can also do it the Harry Potter way. You can just cast a ridiculous spell on your fears. So let's take a look at how at the school where Harry Potter learned Hogwarts. Yeah, here we are at Hogwarts. Let's take a look.
Hello? Neville, what frightens you most of all? Sorry?
Professor Snape.
Frightens all. And I believe you live with your grandmother.
Yes, but I don't want that boggart to turn into her either.
No. It won't. I want you to picture her clothes, only her clothes, very clearly in your mind.
She carries a red handbag.
You don't need to hear. As long as you see it, we'll see it. Now, when I open that wardrobe, here's what I want you to do. Excuse me. Imagine Professor Snape in your grandmother's clothes. Can you do that? Yes. Wand at the ready. 1, 2, 3. Think, Neville, think.
Ridiculous!
Wonderful, Neville, wonderful, incredible. Okay, to the back, Neville. Everyone form a line. Form a line. I want everyone to picture the thing they fear the very most and turn it into something funny. Next, Ron. Concentrate, face your fear. Be brave. Wand at the ready, Ron. Wand at the ready.
Ridiculous!
Yes! See? Very good, very good. Marvelous! Absolutely very, very enjoyable. Parvati, next. Step up. Show us what you see. Keep your nerve steady.
Ridiculous!
And next, step up, step up.
So have your ridiculous wands at the ready. You know, Psalm 23 says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. For God is with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." And that scripture is so beautiful because it reminds us of the presence that is with us always. But also it tells us how to move through the shadows. Walk. It doesn't say run for your life. It doesn't say go around. Just walk through. Doesn't say pitch a tent either. You know? Make a dwelling. Just walk through. And so when we walk through, then we walk through into the bright light of day, and then we are carrying the keys of healing, the keys of transformation. Let's close out with an affirmation together. I illuminate, let me get you all together. Okay, together? I illuminate the shadows with a divine light of recognition. So it is.
Thank you so much, Kristen. I couldn't help thinking about this old adage that I know. If it's hysterical, it's historical, right? So if you look down and you see that your shoe's untied and you start to cry, it may not be about the shoelaces being untied, right? So thank you. Our prayer chaplains are available after the service to provide personal prayer support. They are wearing lavender stoles. Whether you have a joy or a concern or on your heart, praying with our prayer chaplains is a powerful opportunity to have your intentions raised up in consciousness. So let us now open our hearts to our consciousness. You know why? Because it's prosperity celebration time.
All right.
So that's why we're going to raise our consciousness. Amen?
Amen.
All right. So let us now open our hearts to the consciousness of giving as we align with the universal law of circulation. As we give, so shall we receive. In truth, there is no lack or limitation. In truth, we are abundance. There are a variety of ways to financially give to our community. For credit card donations, use PushPay on your smartphone or take an envelope from the clipboard in the back of the chairs. Please include the 3-digit CVC found on the back of your card, that little black 3-digit number. Those of you at home, you can use push pay or click on the donation button on the Watch Live page. Either way, we really, truly appreciate your love offerings. It goes a long way. I invite you to take your tithe or offering in your hand and repeat the affirmation together. Together.
Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
I am joy-filled and grateful.
Well, this song reminds me of how one person, Jim Croce, went from the dark into the light. Here's his description of that light. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like the pine trees lining the winding road, I've got a name, I've got a name. Like the singing bird and the croaking toad, I've got a name, I've got a name. And I carry it with me like my daddy did, but I'm living a dream he just couldn't live. Rolling me down the highway, moving me down the highway, moving me helps so life won't pass me by. Like the north wind whistling across the sky, I've got a song, I've got a song. Like the whippoorwill and the babies cry, I've got a song, I've got a song. And I carry it with me and I sing it loud. If it takes me nowhere, well, I'm going there proud. Rolling me down the highway, moving me down the highway, moving me helps so life won't pass me by. Go there free, like the fool I am and I'll always be. I've got a dream, I've got a dream. They can change their minds but they can't change me, 'cause I've got a dream, I've got a dream. I know I could share it if you want me to. If you're going my way, well, I'll go with you. Rolling me down the highway, moving me down the highway, moving me helps so life won't pass me by. Rolling me down the highway, moving me down the highway, moving me home so I won't pass me by.
So we bless these gifts as well as all the ideas of money that are here. Because you know there are a lot of ideas of money, gifts that have been given online, that have been given through bill pay, that are being given right now. So we include all of those as we bless our abundance, giving thanks that it is overflowing with good. And let's speak this affirmation together, blessing this. we give thanks for the ever-increasing, unceasing flow of absolute good in our lives now. So it is. The children are having a great time where they are, so they're not going to join us this morning. So let's join together for our prayer of protection. And together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God ever present, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
You are the light and the love and the peace on earth right now. So let your light shine and have fun.